And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I'm your host, Louis Sung, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Ron Caniff, and Alfredo Artiaga is here as well to drop some knowledge on all of us. How are you today, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Good.
All right. Awesome. Simultaneous reaffirmation. So, Alf, you had some good news today. Hopefully the Dolphins will have some good news during the season with Vic Fangio. We're going to be talking about that today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to talk about offensive line anymore. I'm sick of talking about the offensive line. So we're not going to do that if we can help it.
I'm sure somehow, some way.
I'm sure. Yeah,
we'll sneak that topic in.
Somebody will walk in the door and be like, "Hey, are they signing Cam Fleming or what?" And like, just give it time. Give it time.
Well, if you listen to our latest podcast that dropped today, we kind of covered all those bases. So
there you go. You want some offensive line talk? Go check out the latest 3 yards per carry. It's available. I'm sure that you guys can go check it out whenever you're ready. We're gonna go ahead and get into
Lewis. We could always talk about Tua. Is he or isn't he? Do a whole 2 years of that. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely don't want that. Lewis, is your screen frozen? Did your internet go down?
No, just my brain.
I got an idea. Let's talk about the New York Jets and how great they're going to be.
Oh, how delightfully wonderful. I saw a tweet today that every single primetime game was going to have the Jets in some way, shape, or form.
You know what? They could go undefeated. I think they're going to go undefeated, win every playoff game by 50 points, and then shut out whoever. Give them the Eagles. They shut out the Eagles 58-0 in the Super Bowl.
Shut them out.
The greatest team ever assembled. The greatest team ever assembled. They're going to have 15 primetime games on announced tomorrow. You know, they're going to be on Sunday night, like what? Every single week. It's going to be like the regular show of the week. You're going to tune in Sunday night just to see the Jets. The whole nation is going to see the Jets. I can't wait.
Like,
it's going to be awesome.
Even
all
with
Aaron Rodgers all the time. All Robert Saleh all the time. The Robert Saleh show. Who the hell's their offensive coordinator now? Oh, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. The Nathaniel Hackett Hour. Let's do the Breece Hall reality show as well. All Jets all the time on NFL Network, on ESPN.
And the Aaron Rodgers conspiracy
on Fox
trackers.
Sports, everywhere. Yeah, yep. And Aaron Rodgers needs to have his own conspiracy podcast. Absolutely. I
would actually listen to an Aaron Rodgers conspiracy theory podcast. I would 100% listen to that, dude.
I would too. I'm not gonna lie. I would. I'd tune into that one.
That might actually end up being
what he thinks about
one podcast. Yeah, I want to know. I would be the
don't let
look.
On my look, I take my job seriously at camp. Like I ask serious questions of the coaches and the players when I get a chance. I mostly like talking to the coaches. If I ever get a chance to talk to Aaron Rodgers and ask him a question, and I know Simon has done a million of those interviews. If I ever get a chance to ask Aaron Rodgers about a question after a game or a practice or anything, it's going to be about aliens and Area 51 and contrails, all that shit. All that crazy ass shit.
Crop circles.
Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster.
That's awesome.
Do dinosaurs still roam the earth?
Mothman.
Yes. Where is Elvis really hiding?
Absolutely. Is Tupac really alive?
Man, we're really going off the rails here because it's May. But another guy who's like just like that, even more off the rails, is Dan Aykroyd. I'd like to see a podcast with Aaron Rodgers and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
that would be the Skull vodka ready to go, right?
Yeah, he does. Dan Aykroyd. The funny thing about Dan Aykroyd is he did a show with Joe Rogan, and you know Joe Rogan loves talking about aliens and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that Dan Aykroyd is actually the same guy that you saw on Ghostbusters. He believes everything. Ghosts.
Yeah. He does. He wrote that originally not as a comedy, but as like a
real thing.
These are my true life experiences. Some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah,
it's awesome.
He's out there.
It really
he believes it all.
So speaking of conspiracy theories, my conspiracy theory is that the media is going to eat a big giant shitburger on these Jets, and I'm trying to find anybody with any kind of money. Book my bet, please. Dolphins sweeping the Jets this year. Give me a price, and I'll book it with you. Anybody.
Well, one might question how that's actually going to happen if Aaron Rodgers is anywhere near being Aaron Rodgers. And we're going to get into that. Hey, like that segue right there. We're going to talk about the defense today, folks. But before that, really quick, now that we're back on the rails here, going to go ahead and briefly mention that this show is brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at You Brake Wheel Fix. You Brake Wheel Fix is the complete automotive wheel solution. Ever parked too close to the sidewalk curb? You Brake Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, or curb rash. Or maybe your wheels are faded or peeling. You don't need to replace them, as You Brake Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new. Offering complete refinish options through powder coating, machining, and polishing, You Brake Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs. And if you're just looking to give your ride a new look, You Brake Wheel Fix also offers many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels like the one you're seeing right here, this awesome Dolphins colored wheel. They give you performance upgrades, window tinting, and suspension modifications. You can turn your ride into the ultimate Dolphins fantasy. Located just south of Aventura, you can reach Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at youbrakewheelfix.com. So go ahead and shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or just go online to youbrakewheelfix.com, get an estimate in just minutes, and start turning your ride into the ultimate Dolphins fandom car today. This show is also brought to you, of course, by PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues, whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, one of each league. It's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They'll give you free squares over there. Today happens to be Taco Tuesday, so if you didn't get a chance to take advantage of some of those Taco Tuesday promotions, there is still one available that you can pick, I think. There's Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or possibly multiply the amount of money you can normally win. With offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you are any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, that's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com, get started winning today. Go ahead and put in your $100. They will literally give you $100 of their money for you to play with. When you do that, you don't even have to touch your deposit until you're done with theirs. So go get going today. Start winning now. All right. So the Miami Dolphins, as everybody knows, has invested a whole lot into their defense this year. Obviously, the first big thing that happened, trading for Jalen Ramsey, 3rd-round pick, Hunter Long, probably the easiest decision anybody could ever make. And now you have Xavier Howard, who is still there. He's going to be continuing to do his thing. Javon Holland is going to be there. And, of course, the biggest investment of them all, even more than everything we've done, it with David Long Jr., all that other stuff, the biggest investment of all was managing to bring in Vic Fangio, the best modern NFL coordinator, NFL defensive coordinator of this era. And he's going to basically turn this defense completely upside down to what it was last season. Whereas last year, it had its ups. It had a lot of downs. We're expecting a lot more ups this year. And so, quite frankly, I'm very excited to see what they do. We discussed the whole Cam Smith situation last week when we did the grading of the Miami Dolphins draft class. We're basically going to be seeing Jalen Ramsey running all over the place, making chaos on the field. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing with that. And Vic Fangio is the ringmaster on this whole thing. I'm sure Mike McDaniel is basically going to look at this guy and say, listen, you handle the defense, I'll handle the offense. Let's go win a Super Bowl.
No, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I like that. I just don't. I feels like less and less there's a place for that defense where everybody in the defensive backfield has to just grab a man and follow your guy around 4, 5, 6 seconds, and it just feels like the NFL offenses they're too quick for that. They're too used to that in a lot of cases, and if you don't have the perfect players to do it, that's the thing. If you don't have the perfect players to run that scheme, the scheme that Flores ran, and that, what was his name? Josh. I almost said Josh Brolin. Josh Boyer was right. I already forgot who he was, man. If you just don't have the perfect guys to run that scheme, it feels like it only really kind of works in New England, and even of late, it doesn't even really work all that great there. So I'm glad to see that we're moving on to something new. However, Alf, I have to ask you, what exactly, if you could kind of explain, what is that new thing that we're not we'll put aside the fact that Fangio or somebody is saying that Fangio is going to be guinea pigging us for some kind of new defense we've never seen. Let's put that one aside for a minute and just go with basically what Fangio has done over the past years and how you think some of our players are going to be used in this new defense.
Well, you remember the last defense Miami had under Josh Boyer and Brian Flores?
Yes.
Now, Imagine the exact opposite of all of that, and that's what we're running now.
So
It's a
so not way less blitzing and way less man. In other words,
absolutely, and single high, you're going to see it extremely low numbers in this defense. Miami was 32nd 2 years ago in running two high safety shells, meaning you have both of your safeties split one on each hash. Denver, the last year under Vic Fangio, was number 1 in the NFL in running two safety high shell.
when
So
you
you're gonna
say
see,
number one, you mean statistically or just how many times? Like what percentage of times?
yeah,
they ran the
percentage of the
defense?
time that they had him
Okay.
in that defense, in that coverage. You're going to see a lot more quarters, which I think is a good defense for Xavier Howard to extend his career a little bit, especially since you're paying him a lot of money. You're going to see a lot of cover 6, and you're going to see some light boxes, but what you're not going to see is the philosophy that they employed before. The philosophy that they employed before under Josh Boyer was trying to induce certain throws. In other words, they would call defenses, which I'm not putting it down. Okay. I actually love that style of defense that Josh Boyer employed and that Brian Flores employed. The only thing is it does not fit the type of offense and the type of team that you have now. You have a high-powered offense, so you should not, under any circumstance, this is just football 101. You should not have, under any circumstance, a volatile defense. You should not, because if you're going to give up way too many points on the defensive end, you're kind of defeating the purposes of what your offense is trying to accomplish. So you should have a more conservative defense when you have a more volatile offense like Miami will have. So what are the major differences? Well, it's the major differences is how you're going to line up, of course. Okay. Other subtle differences, again, the light boxes. You're going to see your linebackers basically playing a lot of over and under, which means essentially one linebacker is outside of the tackle box and the other one is shading over the 3-tech, or under, where guys are inside of the tackle box and your linebacker is exactly in the middle linebacker position with your defensive tackles actually split on either side of the center. You're going to see some eagle fronts. You're going to see some bear fronts, which means you're going to cover a lot of the defensive linemen. You're going to have a nose tackle directly head up on the center, and you're going to have your defensive tackles head up on the guards with what looks like a traditional 3-4 look with your edge rushers. You're going to use a lot of pressure 5, okay? When you use pressure 5, it means all that really means. Some people, everybody calls it a different thing, right? Like they call it either pressure 5 or they call it a 42 power defense, or they call it a pressure 42 defense. Everybody has a different name for it. All it means is that you will always, under all circumstances, have 6 people in coverage, no matter what, which means the most people you'll bring on a rush is 5. The most people you'll commit to the box is 5. Now, if you do that, what is that? What are you dictating to the offense? Okay. Before, what Josh Boyer and Brian Flores would try to do is trying to induce certain throws. So they show you a coverage and they try to tell the quarterback, the opposing quarterback, look, you're not going to get this, and you're definitely not going to get this. So you have to go get that. Now, what would that usually be? Probably a deep throw. Okay. And now people, and you wonder, man, why the hell would you do that? Well, because they're low percentage throws. It's as simple as that. Like, if I had you guess, I'll have you, Lewis, guess. What is the average of deep balls that are thrown 40 yards in the air completed the last, let's say, 5 years?
Based on how many of them are attempted, okay. I was gonna say that it's gonna be something like a low number. No.
What percentage? What percentage?
Let's say, because based on how many times they're attempted, they can't be attempted that many times. Let's say 30%.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guess. It's like 27%. Okay, so
I'd still lose. Price is Right.
What Josh Boyer and Brian Flores are trying to do is they're trying to tell you, look, you see this high percentage throw over here? You're not gonna get it. You see, there's way too many people over there. Okay, this throw over the middle, you're not going to get it because we're dropping a linebacker into that short zone. But you know what you can get? You can't throw this deep ball over here that you'll complete 27% of the time. And they're betting on the ball hitting the ground 3 out of 4 times, which is a good bet. It's a percentage-based defense. What Vic Fangio is going to do is absolutely different. Okay, what Vic Fangio is going to do, he's going to force the quarterback to dissect what exactly you are doing on defense and not dictate to the quarterback. So he's going to have the quarterback try to think against your defense. And a lot of quarterbacks, namely ours, Tua Tagovailoa, I got in trouble against that style of defense because you try to play the other way, right? Because most quarterbacks try to play the way that I just told you, Josh Boyer and Brian Flores try to dictate to others to play, right? Which is, okay, this is not open. That has to be open. That's not open. I check it down. You know, really simple, paint by the numbers, A, B, C type of quarterbacking. That's not what Vic Fangio wants you to do. What Vic Fangio wants you to do is to drop back and then see nothing. Okay? You're not seeing anything. You're seeing something that is completely I forgot what I forget what the right word for it is. Is it amorphous, or it's what's the word for like something that's constantly blending and you don't know what exactly it is from one moment to the next? Well, it doesn't matter. That's what you're trying to do. Okay.
Amorphous.
So yeah, that's a good question. That's it. That's the word. So you wonder, okay, if you're going to do all these things and you are playing those light boxes, what is it that exactly you're going to dictate to the offense? You're trying to induce them to run the ball against you. Okay. Which is kind of the genius of the Vic Fangio system, because he gives you a look that kind of tells you, wait a minute, these clowns are really going to put only 5 people in the box most of the game. Like they're only going to have 5 people within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, like 80% of the game. We're just going to run it at them. No, it doesn't work that way, because the way they disguise coverage is, it means that they sometimes bring safeties late into the box, and they're bringing numbers late into the box to fill for the running game. So, you know, it's a really, really smart defense. It's going to be easy to learn because a lot of the coverages are coverages that these guys ran in college. So I can't wait to see what he also has, up his sleeve, because he says he has some tricky coverages he's been working on in his time away from football. But he has the personnel. I've never seen a defense as talented as this one here in Miami, and I saw one that had 2 Hall of Famers. And I believe if Surtain is not on the Ring of Honor, he should be. I believe Sam Madison is. So, I saw those defenses. Those were great defenses. This one is more talented, if you believe that.
I mean, then if that's the case, then this is literally the most talented defense that Miami has, quite frankly, ever had at this point, at least in my lifetime. And I realize that my lifetime doesn't span quite as long as some others. I didn't get to see the 72 Dolphins. I didn't get to see the 84
maybe ever, maybe ever. And I know it sounds blasphemous to some, but Manny Fernandez is not in the Hall of Fame. Nick Buoniconti is. Jake Scott is not in the Hall of Fame. The 72 Dolphins had a bunch of Hall of Famers on the offensive side of the ball. Zach Thomas is in the Hall of Fame. Jason Taylor's in the Hall of Fame, but it kind of ends there. And then but who the hell's going to the Hall of Fame from the Dolphins? Well, Jalen Ramsey is going head first in the Hall of Fame. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. Xavier Howard needs to finish pretty strong to have a shot at it.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
He has to finish pretty strong. He has to have another strong 3 or 4 years to make a legitimate case. The rest of the guys we got are pups that are on the way up. And man, I like what they have on defense. They're absolutely loaded, and they have some, they've added some players, even in UDFAs. Going into the draft, I was thinking to myself, you know what? They don't have a fill linebacker. All the linebackers they have are kind of like the same guy, very versatile, but they don't have that one fill guy for the back end of the roster, a guy that they can use in a pinch. And then they went out and they got Aubrey Miller out of Jackson State as a UDFA. I love him as a player. I think he's going to make the team. And he'll be like the 5th linebacker. He'll be the guy that you'll use maybe 4 or 5 snaps a game. But those 4 or 5 snaps a game are going to be consequential because they're going to be on 3rd and 1s or 4th and 1s, So I love the talent on this team. They're absolutely loaded, and they got even more loaded after the draft and undrafted free agency.
So I wanted to ask you then, because you're bringing up linebackers, and I had actually highlighted a different guy, an undrafted free agent. So Zeke Vandenberg is just another pass rusher then? He won the Buck Buchanan Award in college. I figured that has to be worth something.
Yes. He's another edge rusher, very heavy-handed. You'll see him in camp, and he'll be noticeable. Like, that's a guy that, the thing is that they're just so loaded at edge that, it's hard to see a path for him to make the squad. But if he performs well, you can see he could be one of those guys that you stash, and that gives you even more depth. Yeah, you can always use these guys and have them in your practice squad, because you never know when you take an injury. As of right now, they're absolutely loaded there, and Melvin Ingram is still without a job, by the way.
I did notice
which is
that.
crazy to me.
How long did it take for Melvin Ingram to find a job last year? It took a while. So
yeah, he signed in May or something like that, almost in June.
Yeah, I'm sure he's biding his time. I don't think he's.
I remember Miami has, and everybody's saying, get on with it. Sign Cam Fleming already. Well, they don't have any money, man.
Yeah, they're out of money.
June 1st is when they get their money, so just wait.
And they still have to sign their draft picks.
Yes, so you got to wait until June 1st. June 1st, they get some money opened up, and then you're going to see some movement on the team.
Alf, what do you think about Malik Reed? I thought that was like a sneaky good signing that they did a little bit later. And, I know it's all the David Long talk, but that Malik Reed, that was a nice signing.
Yeah, and as soon as they signed him, I was like, whoa, if Melvin Ingram's looking at this, put your house on the market, buddy. What I mean?
Yeah,
because Malik Reed is like a younger version
of Ingram. Yeah.
Yeah, and Malik Reed is a guy like, man, if you ask me, Malik Reed 12 sacks this year for Miami. No, not crazy. It's really not.
Yeah,
crazy.
and another thing too is he'll be in there and teaching this defense to the linebacker room for the guys that haven't played it.
Yeah, he's going to get the
opportunity. He knows it intimately.
I feel like Bradley Chubb is a better option for that, though.
But it's entirely possible that I'm saying Malik Reed. Look, once upon a time, this team had a guy who was a part-time pass rusher in Trace Armstrong have 16.5 sacks in the season.
That's true.
And he only came onto the field on third downs, man.
Yes. He just came in when you knew exactly what he was coming in to do.
And he would do it over and over and over again. Another sack and another sack.
That was a fun year, man. Man, that was a fun year.
It was. And so it's entirely possible. I'm telling you, it's entirely possible that at the end of the year, we're completely happy with our edge rushers. And Bradley Chubb just had 9 sacks, but you're looking at it and you're like, man, he brought the pressure against Buffalo. He looked great against Kansas City. I'm happy with the money we're paying him, but Malik Reed could have 12 sacks.
So how many sacks does Jalen Phillips have? Like, there's no limit at this point. You might as well get a sack every other play.
Well, how many did the Eagles have last year? It was 75.
Oh no, that was
crazy number
that
like
was
that, right?
Ballistic. That was
okay. Well, that's what we're shooting for, man. Okay, a nice big fat number like that. Like how many games in the season? 17. Okay, let's say we get 4 sacks per game. That's 68 sacks. That's still not as much as what the Eagles had last year. So yeah, go get those. Like they have every opportunity. This defense is absolutely loaded, and I'm telling for the national media, okay, because they're all doing the same crap. Okay, they're all betting on Tua getting hurt. Don't be surprised if they wake up some moment in November and Miami's like 10-0 or something ridiculous like that, and it's all behind this defense because this defense is that legit. They have no excuses. Like this should be a top 5 defense. This is one of the most talented defenses. I know I've said this already 3 times. This is one of the most talented defenses I've seen here in forever.
So, by the way, just to bring this up, Mercedes Nunez says, I hope that Vic Fangio, has answers because every mother effing expert has Aaron Rodgers and his expired Jets as the Super Bowl winner. Speaking of the national media, we joked about it at the top of the show, talking about how, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to go undefeated. That's kind of how people are kind of treating these Jets, though. Like all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers shows up and the New York Jets go from bottom feeders to literally top of the league. I did a Fins Nation show not too long ago talking about the initial power rankings. I think everybody saw them from the 33rd team or whatever. And somehow, miraculously, the Jets have become a top 10 football team, while the Dolphins are way down here. I don't know why. I think it is like our good friend Duke is in the comment section. AR is going to be 40. Yeah, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, but he's still Aaron Rodgers, so I guess that matters to some people.
I don't know. He wasn't Aaron Rodgers last year. That's for sure.
And this is the funniest thing of all. I keep hearing talk about how Aaron Rodgers didn't have a demands list to come to the New York Jets. He didn't demand to have all his friends. Yeah, okay. They just brought in Alan Lazard. They're bringing in Randall Cobb. Like who haven't they brought in yet? Mercedes Lewis. I'm sure they'll find room for him somewhere.
I love how the Packers went 8-9 in the weaker conference, and the Jets decided, you know what? That's what we want.
That's what Rodgers wants.
Let's go bring
these guys.
Let's go bring that 8-9 team all the way over here to New York. Let's just do that and put them in a much tougher division than they were in last year. Their biggest competition last year was Detroit in that division,
and they had no defense to speak of.
And Minnesota. The Bears were terrible last year, so 8-9, and you decide, yeah, let's go get all of those guys, all of them. Not some of them, all of them, and not even all the best parts either. Like they're not getting Aaron Jones and I keep forgetting the backup running back's name who I think is awesome. The big
is
guy.
it God? I know who you're talking about, and it's killing me now. I can't remember it.
He's so good. Dylan.
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon. He's such a good player, man. He's so underrated, man. AJ Dillon. He's a great pass receiver too. Can you imagine what he could do in our offense? But yeah, we're not gonna go take those guys. We're not gonna get Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. No. We're gonna go get Alan Lazard and the corpse of Randall Cobb. Like that's what we want. And 8,000-year-old Mercedes Lewis. Like
no, he hasn't.
Really?
He hasn't signed yet. I don't think. But he
Are
will.
you sure?
I don't think he has yet. Mercedes Lewis.
I'm pretty sure he's already a Jet. No.
He is a free agent. He hasn't been signed yet. Of course, he is 38 years old.
Just a matter of time.
Maybe they finally decided enough's enough.
Yeah, but man, I'm not a believer in that Jet team. Are they going to be better? Absolutely.
Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers. There's nobody's debating whether the Jets are going to be better or not. What I'm debating is that they're going to go from one of the worst teams. Well, you know what? I guess I have to be honest. They weren't one of the worst teams last year.
They'll have a moderate jump, but they're still not going to be as good as Miami. I mean, simple as that. We faced them twice last year, and neither time did Tua even play. So, it's like they hadn't even seen, Tua. They will this year, I'm sure. So
listen,
I'm looking forward to it. It makes the division fun. That's for sure. Makes the division fun. It also love to see New England on the bottom.
No, New England, I'm not going to stress. Not even a little bit.
I'm not even stressing the Jets, man. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. This year, I mean, we're not going undefeated, but I'm not stressing any team. Like zero stress, zero care. They could tell they could come out with a power ranking right now on ESPN and have Miami at 30. It would not even raise my pulse.
Anybody, even if it wouldn't get. Listen, anybody who puts the Dolphins at 30, even as a joke, deserves to be fired.
Yeah, but it just I don't know. This year I have so little concern, if any, about opinions. I haven't even been watching any of the shows. I've been doing what they tell you not to do with media, but I'm doing it with sports media. I was stuck in this tiny little bubble of the few shows that I listen to and the few places that I go to talk to people, and that's it. I haven't turned on ESPN. I haven't turned on FS1. I haven't hardly been on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I really don't care. It just doesn't matter to me what Greeny says or Skip Bayless says.
Oh, Greenberg.
I don't.
Did you know the New York Knicks are only losing because it's hot outside?
Yeah, I just don't care. It means nothing. It just means nothing this year because we saw what the product is in its infancy on the field last year.
Guys, if you think it's driving the Northeast media crazy that the Heat and the Panthers are like winning everything, wait till the Dolphins also get into the act. Okay. In fact, on the podcast today, I said that the Dolphins should schedule the Jets for a scrimmage this weekend just so they could kick their ass and they could get in on this act that Miami's doing right now. But yeah, we're title town, and it ain't gonna end. It's not going to end with, just the Heat and the Panthers and the championship. Okay. It's going to continue in the fall with this team. This team is absolutely loaded. Only injury can derail them. I'm convinced of that.
This team comes down to two things, and none of them have to do with any other teams: the health of Tua and what Fangio does with the defense. Those two things will dictate where this team goes, and no other team
the health of Teron
will
Armstead
dictate
too.
You know what? We'll get around that. If Tua's healthy, we'll get around it. If Tua's not back there in the backfield, that offense is still going to be humming even without Armstead.
Well, according to you, if Tua's not back there, they're going to go drag Tom Brady kicking and screaming out of retirement.
If he misses extended time, absolutely. If he misses extended time, is out for the year, like earlier in the season, of course they're going to call Brady. They're not going to waste this team on a backup third string quarterback. Sorry.
Apparently, don't even think about calling Andrew Luck. Apparently, you're tampering.
Oh, why did I miss that? What happened?
Jim Irsay literally said that if you even try to call Andrew Luck, you're going to be violating tampering rules.
Is that true though, or is he just? I mean, I don't think Andrew Luck's ever coming back. I think he would have by now.
No, I don't think he is either. But the fact that Jim Irsay felt the need to say it, like the only thing I can imagine is that Andrew Luck called Jim Irsay and say, "Can you tell people to stop calling me?"
Yeah, that might be true. I'm sure.
It turns out that the commanders, tried to be slick, and tried to, I guess reach out to Andrew Luck, but as it turns out, supposedly the word is that Andrew Luck, doesn't give a crap about football anymore. He doesn't want to play.
Yeah, he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play football. He's not sitting there thinking about, man, I should get back in football. He's done. No, I don't think
we'll Brett Favre is still open.
Brett Favre, if somehow he could be convince himself that he was ready to go back, would try and get back in. You're damn right he would, and Brady would under the.
Did you guys see that Onion headline? Look, it's no secret that the Onion's been shitty for like a few years, but they absolutely murdered it with their Brett Favre headline. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see it?
I did not.
Hang on, let me find it. Brett Favre.
Go look for it.
Let's see. I'm trying to find one that's I'm trying to find one that's not about a penis. Apparently.
Oh, look at the latest.
Forgot about that stuff.
Okay. Let me sort it by date. Here we go. Nope.
Look it up. It's the latest one.
I'm trying to find it. I'm not.
Dude, all you gotta put is Brett Favre Onion. It's the first one that shows up.
I'm putting it.
Brett Favre makes amends. That one.
Oh, that one. But that's from 2022. Yeah. I thought you had something like a lot earlier.
I know. Put that one up. There was another one, but that wasn't as good as this one. Put this one up. This is the best one. Hold on. This is the best one. Ron, have you seen this?
I have not.
Well, you got to see this. This is great. This is great stuff. Look at that. Look at that, Ron. Brett Favre makes amends by sending photo of his penis to every Mrs.
Oh boy, that's hilarious. Nice. That's funny.
Oh boy, it's just so good.
No, it's pretty.
Right.
So here we have now a situation where the Jets are going to try to ride Aaron Rodgers to the Super Bowl, regardless of how likely it's going to be. Now, Alf, you actually said something a little bit earlier that's interesting. You said that what Vic Fangio is going to do is he's going to try to make the offensive their opponents. They're going to try to make them think. So quarterbacks are not just going to be telegraphed a plan and then they're going to try to catch them off guard. They're going to actually say, "Okay, you think you're so smart? Figure out what we're doing. What we're trying to do here." But wouldn't that be more effective, I would imagine, on younger quarterbacks? I mean, the likes of Aaron Rodgers and those guys, I would imagine that they're not going to be quite as fooled. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not really about fooling them. It's about them taking you've heard the term, take what you're given. That could be good, and that could also be bad. Because if a defense is just giving you 2-yard dump-offs all game, that's not a good thing, okay? That's something that Miami actually did to Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert did it all game, and these clowns in the national media put up Justin Herbert's stats, which entailed something like 8,000 completions for 340 yards, and thought that was good. It's also a thing that people put up when they saw the 400 yards that Josh Allen threw for, but on like, what was it, 63 attempts, and they thought that was good, which it was not. Okay, that is kind of what he wants to do. Okay, it's not that he's dictating, it's that he's going to make you think, and the easiest path, or the path with least resistance, is going to be actually what he wants you to do. So it's completely different when Josh Boyer did. Josh Boyer actually dictated the pace. Like, Josh Boyer actually wanted to tell you, look, you're going to do this because this is your best shot. And then if they didn't force it, you would get those games like Justin Herbert had. And I know everybody says, oh, Justin Herbert had a great game against Miami. No, he didn't. Go look at the numbers again. Tell me if that's good or not. That's not a good game. He has some great throws, but that was not a good game. Or Josh Allen the first time around. Oh, he had a great game against Miami because he threw for 400 yards. No, he really did not. Well, he threw for 400. Yeah, it's like what I tell people. Look, Josh Allen had 400 yards on 63 attempts. If I told you he had 200 yards on 31 attempts, is that a good game? No, right? Well, he did that twice. He did that twice in the same game. So no, it's not that good. So
yeah, question for you, Alf.
Mm-hmm.
So what are these? If you know anything about these supposed new coverages, what are these supposed to be about? Are they like kept in secret? We'll never know. Or are you hearing any hints of what that might look like and how it's different from things we've seen before in the NFL and from Fangio?
I haven't heard any hints, but I can speculate like anybody else. And I guess maybe he's going to invert some coverages, or who knows what he's going to try to do. But I know the basics of his defense, and the basics of his defense are, it's cover 6, it's quarters, it's a lot of these pocket and box zones. It's pressure 42. It's, all the tenets of his defense remain the same. And I don't think he's going to change them too much. I'm dying to see what the hell he's talking about when he's talking about all these tricky coverages that he's working on. He has the versatility to do it now because he has those players. Look at the versatility he has on this team. And adding Cam Smith, the more you step back from it, you start realizing, this maybe meant something. Like, maybe they drafted this guy to actually play a lot.
I think the fourth cornerback in almost any defense plays a lot, but sure would have played a lot last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, he
would have played a starter amount or starter amount, I should say, of snaps.
Well, I don't want to. He would have played a lot, but I don't want to take anything away from Kader Kohou here because.
No, I mean, Kader Kohou's still the third CB in this defense. But, you're going to need more than 3 many times when everyone's healthy, and then people get dinged up. People need breaks. Things happen in the NFL. People miss games. People tweak a hammy. It happens.
Maybe we're going to be resting our better players a lot in the fourth quarter this year, and you need more cornerbacks to play.
There you go. Yes. You need it for fourth quarter when we're up.
But we can always throw Keon Crossan back out there. How about that?
Yeah. No, let's not.
Noah Benogany might still be on the team.
Yeah, I doubt it, but we'll see.
Listen, right there. Chris Early is posting the numbers.
Oh, that's Duke. Yeah.
Yeah, Duke. 39 completions for 367 yards is not good. You see? That's what, and everybody highlighted that game like, oh my God, it was the greatest goddamn game in the history of sports. And no, it's not. I'll do the math for you. 367 yards divided by 51 is 7.1 yards per attempt.
I was going to say, it was just barely over 7. What did Tua average last year in yards per attempt?
8.9. Almost 2 more yards.
Yeah, 2 more yards per attempt. 2 more yards. Like,
not completion.
People think, 7 or 9, that's not a big deal. It is when you talk about per attempt. That's insane.
Yes.
Oh, and good old Duke again. Josh Allen.
And that one was even worse. Okay. 400 yards. Let's do more math. This is my favorite type of show. Let's do math. I'm taking out my trusty calculator here. 400 divided by 63
about the same.
Is 6.3 yards per attempt.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Okay. Yeah, like awesome. I'm telling everybody, Josh Allen. Now in game 2, he was spectacular. In the playoff game, yeah, he had the turnovers and he had the fumble, the fumble for the touchdown. So that has to go against him. But he was actually, he was actually okay. Like, he made big plays in the last 2 games. But the game in Miami, Josh Allen was terrible. He just was. The Dolphin defense got to him all day and rattled them, and that was a terrible game by Josh Allen. I don't give a crap how many yards he threw for.
Well, unlike with Mike Greenberg, unlike with Mike Greenberg and the Knicks, I will go ahead and I will say that I'm sure that the sun being as blazing hot as it was and how long that game dragged on, it had something to do with it.
Yeah, the Hard Rock Sun, man, did it to him.
Man, I'm telling you that nobody. I mean, yeah, they
look
still
what's
lost.
happening. Look what's happening to the Toronto Maple Leafs, man. They're melting down here in the sun of Sunrise, Florida.
But I'll say the way that Belichick played it, yeah, it didn't work because he just didn't have the talent to beat Miami, honestly. But his idea about let's just shorten the game. We're just gonna make this game go as fast as we can make it go.
Mm-hmm.
That had some validity to it. You just need more talent. I was surprised that more teams didn't try and do what Belichick did, just with better, talent on the team. And that's let's try and shorten the game. But they didn't.
Absolutely.
They're throwing it. The more you throw it, the more incompletions you have, the longer the game's going to go, dumbasses. Throwing the ball all over the place when it's 100+ degree field and making everybody sprint their ass off and making receivers sprint down the field 60 times and make the game go longer. It's like, that doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. And that's what teams were doing besides New England. New England said, let's shorten the game. Hey, I mean, we didn't blow them out. We still beat them because we're just more talented, but we didn't blow them out. You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense to me. About that Buffalo game plan in Miami was just a terrible game plan. It just wasn't. It was the exact opposite of what you would want to do in that situation. Yeah, I know they didn't really know Miami's offense yet. Nobody really did. That's different, but just you're playing the terrain, if you will. You're playing the weather as much as you're playing the team, and you have to kind of game plan for that. And they did not do that at all. So it was just kind of silly. I'm sure they would learn. I would imagine teams would learn their lesson. And like I said, I predict that we're not going to have. And I know the schedule's coming out this week, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I predict that Miami will not have.
Or Thursday. It'll be on. It'll be released on Thursday. The NFL Network's going to do a huge show on it.
Yeah, I predict that Miami will not have one o'clock game in the first up until like towards the end of October will be the first time they have a 1 o'clock at home game. I say that they'll eliminate that part just because I don't know, just because it's Miami and why not? I don't care. We don't need the Heat to beat teams, but it is a nice advantage sometimes.
I feel like
I'll say this. I'll say this. The Dolphins, one thing that nobody really talks about too much, and I got to research this to see how this worked out last year. But remember, we play 17 games now, and we've been playing 17 games for a few years here, okay, for the last couple of years, which means that you're going to have an uneven schedule, which means that some teams are going to have 9 home games and 8 road games. Yeah. Miami has 9 home games.
Oh, that last year we had 8, so we get it. We get it back.
You get one extra one. I'm a math.
Wait, are one of those games going to be? Do we know if we're playing in London?
No, we're not. We're not playing overseas.
Overseas? Okay, good. So we actually truly get 9. All right, good.
Yeah, we're playing 9 games.
Hey,
okay.
London loves the Dolphins. It's basically
it's like a home game. Yeah. But Alf, you were going to comment on something. You said had something to say.
Now they have 9 home games this year. Okay. One thing I do require them to do: go undefeated at home. Most of the best teams do that. And if you do that, I am a math major, by the way, you would have 9 wins. And which means, man, it's a really short trip to 12, isn't it? If you have 9 at home that you took care of, right? So, what did they do last year at home? They had 8 home games last year at home. What was their record last year at home?
5.
I know that they lost. They lost to Minnesota, right?
Yeah, they lost. They lost to New York.
Green Bay.
That was in New York, wasn't it? Yeah, they lost to Green Bay.
So they were 6-2 at home last year. Not good enough. Be better.
Yeah, they need to be 8-1 or 9-0. You're right.
Yeah. Duke wants them in Carolina.
What about Carolina?
Duke wants them to play in Carolina.
Oh yeah. Did they play?
For some context, that's where Duke lives. So
did they play Carolina this year?
We don't know. No. Sorry, Duke.
Maybe
training.
Hey, he got to see him practice in Carolina at one time.
Yeah, I was there. That's the first time we met.
Yep.
I mean, I tell you what, where would you even want the Dolphins to do a joint practice to really give them a litmus test? Back to Philly?
I don't want them to have any, but Philly would be the one.
Return the favor with the Eagles and go to Philadelphia this year. You know, I think that's a great. Or you know what? The thing is, man, I don't like doing it against an AFC team because you might, you know what I mean? I just don't like it. You know, but Jacksonville will be a good one. But I wouldn't.
Yeah, but there's a good chance they'll play Jacksonville in the playoffs. I think those two teams.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want them to do that. So Dallas is a good one. Like I like to see them go to Dallas, or go to Philadelphia. Those are the two that I would like to see them go.
You think Kyle Shanahan would want to get with McDaniel and go San Francisco?
Nah, that's too far. Like they're not gonna
too
get
far. They don't go. Dallas or
preseason,
Philly
who
is
cares?
about as far as you'll see them go. Maybe Minnesota is the farthest I've ever seen them go for a preseason game. They usually won't have teams cross country or go coast to coast or anything like that.
Yeah, now they want to come down here, you know, have at it, you know. But what about Atlanta? Atlanta's going to have an interesting offense. They're going to run the ball.
Man, that's
they're
going
to run the ball like 60 times a game.
They are, dude.
That is
going to be such a fun run game to watch this year. Holy crap. They were fun to watch last year in the running game, but now with Bijan, they're really going to be a fun. And I'm not a big Arthur Smith fan or anything, but what he's doing in I'm telling you, there is money to be made in the first 3 or 4 weeks if you like to bet football. I would be really interested to see when it opens up what some of those early spreads look like for Atlanta. I think they're going to be woefully undervalued, and there's going to be some money to be made on that team if you like to bet football. I would keep your eyeballs on that because the pros were making money off them last year. A lot of times they were making money because Atlanta didn't have any talent, but just kept covering spreads because they were running the ball so well. Nobody was paying attention. So I suspect Vegas will be back at it with undervaluing them for a few weeks at least. That would be a good test for us to be able to try and stop the run. I'm kind of concerned now because we were such a good run stuffer, conventional run stuffer. Let's quantify that, right? Because we couldn't stop a quarterback to save our lives. Last year, we were like one of the best in the league against the conventional run.
Yeah, Wilkins.
I don't know what it's going to look like now because you're kind of almost inviting the other team to run, right? You're almost saying, run the ball on us. Now we got to try and stop them. So I don't know that Miami will have like a top-notch rush defense this year like they had last year. I don't think they will. I think they're going to trade off that for there'll be very, very few big plays to where they're getting beat over the top as many times as they did last year, which like you said, that defense kind of invites you to do, right, Alf? Yep. So if you invite somebody over and over and over again to throw it over the top on you, they're going to hit them. Well, 27% of the time, says the math.
But the problem is that 27% of the time, man, could
kills you.
Turn. Yeah, like you know, if you're gonna complete 1 out of every 4, but then
it's
all
40
of a sudden,
something yards, that's like game-changing, field-changing type.
Like
plays.
It could happen, man. Like if they hit a 60-yarder on you for a touch. Look at the Minnesota game. They kicked the crap out of that Minnesota offense
for like 3 quarters, and then it all fell apart.
Yeah, and if you go back, they had 11 3-and-outs. The Vikings had 11 3-and-outs. Now, you look at that and you're like, how the hell did we not beat them by 50 points?
We didn't.
Well, you know, we had Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. You know what I mean?
Move the ball, man.
You know, until late in the game. But look at that, the way our defense played against Minnesota. The only things they got were big plays. That's the only way they got touchdowns on us. They hit the Dalvin Cook run, the big touchdown run against us late in the game, which kind of iced it, although we made a comeback on them. And then they had that deep ball to, not even to Jefferson, it was to Adam Thielen that set them up deep in our territory. That's what got them going, were deep shots that we induced, you know? So, yeah, all those things it's going to change this year. It's going to be completely different. I can't wait to see what they look like. You know, and I guess we'll find out in a few weeks because I think in June they have their first OTA. So,
you know what's really nice too? I was thinking about it today. I think about the Dolphins a lot. I know, sad but true. But don't we all? That's why we're here doing.
We all need our safe haven, Ron.
Yeah, we are. So I'm sitting there driving. I'm thinking about how relaxed. I felt like relaxed through Tua, thinking about last year. He came from those first 2 years with Flores. Now he's got a new coach. The coach seems really cool and to have his back, but does he really? He's got this new offense he's got to learn. It's West Coast. Even some of the best quarterbacks ever have said that's not an easy easy offense to run. And then all of a sudden they get Tyreek Hill, and training camp opens up and things are feeling good, but it was still stressful trying to learn. And then it even took him a few games before he kind of let loose and relaxed and unleashed and realized, holy crap, second half of the Baltimore game, I can do this, because even before then, McDaniel's trying to show him here's what I know you can do, man. Look at you. Hey, check out what Breeze is doing. This is what you can do. And it just took time. Now, man, he knows he can do it. The offense knows they can do it. That team knows what they have in McDaniel. They know what they have in each other, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And how much more relaxed. Like last year at this time, I was freaking out. Man, Tua better be getting off the golf course and get in that playbook, damn it, blah, blah, blah. It's like that's where my brain was. Now I'm like, man, Tua, I don't care if you golf every day, man. Golf every day. Go do your jiu-jitsu or judo or whatever it is you're doing. And I'll see you in June, July, because I know you're going to be ready.
By the way, since we were on the air, there's been a little since we've been on the air, there's been a little trash talk. The Chiefs cornerback, Ladarius Sneed, he's responding to Tyreek Hill, saying that Tyreek's been talking a lot of trash. He's talking about coming back to Arrowhead. We're going to show him though when he gets here. Yeah, what you're going to show him is,
I
he's
can't
going
wait
to show you the
thing.
back of his jersey is what he's going to do, Ladarius Sneed. Like, you can't cover him.
I hope that's the opening week. I hope
So do
that
I.
is. I think it's, but if I understand correctly, doesn't Philadelphia play at KC this year?
Possibly.
If I recall.
I don't know if they'll
I think they do, and if so, they'll make that one. Like the
way,
Super Bowl rematch when it works out to do.
So does Cincinnati. So that's a possibility. You know what's odd? I just noticed that Kansas City's playing all the best teams at home. They play the Dolphins at home. They play the Jets at home. They play the Bengals at home, and they play Philadelphia at home. Like, Jesus Christ. They're just going to play all the best teams at home.
Who do they play on the road? Like the Texans and crap?
Probably.
I mean, you know what?
Sunday.
Kansas City's everything goes through Kansas City, right? Anybody wants to get to the Super Bowl, it probably goes through Kansas City. That's just
The NFL will make sure of that.
That's just the way it is. I mean, they're the best team. They've won 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls. Do I have
the
that
best
right?
quarterback.
They've been to 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. They have the number 1 quarterback. They have probably the number 1 coach in the game right now. I think that for right now, I'm talking about if you told me which coach you wanted right now today,
Mike McDaniel.
this version, whether it's Belichick or Andy Reid.
Oh, okay.
I think you'd want Andy Reid.
If you limit the options to McDaniel and Reid, okay, sure. What's his name? To Reid and Belichick, sure.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm talking about current coaches right now. I don't think there's really any other, unless you want.
I want Mike
Tomlin
McDaniel.
Well, McDaniel's not as good at. Sorry, I love McDaniel, but I can't sit here and say that he's as good a coach as Belichick and Andy Reid right now. But
Belichick
it makes
is getting
sense, though.
exposed,
Everything goes
man.
through Kansas City.
Belichick is getting exposed. He's supposed to be the magic guru who can make any team really good until Tom Brady leaves, and then suddenly the Patriots are bottom of the barrel. I don't want to hear it.
I think what we have seen with Belichick is that it was a perfect marriage with him and Brady. But he had to have Brady to put him over the hump, because it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen just him doing it without someone special like Brady. Because what have we seen from Belichick since Brady's gone? We've seen a coach that
nothing.
Well, we've seen a coach that I still feel can coach the hell out of defense, knows how to game plan for the other team, especially defensively. And does those things so well, he gets his team to win probably more than they should, because they're not super talented and haven't been. But we realize they weren't super talented in many of the teams that Brady won Super Bowls with in the second half of Brady's career in New England. The first half, that was a different story and what that team was like in May. But the second half of Brady's career in New England, it took him getting them over the hump, because it was a lot more Brady and a lot less Belichick's defense then, because but we see that if Belichick had come in, let's say he was a brand new coach the last 3 years, right? Or whatever it was that Brady was gone. He was a brand new coach. We didn't know him before. We'd see him taking what probably most would consider like a bottom of the barrel New England team, making the playoffs once and getting smashed, and winning probably more games the next year than people thought they would. And people would say, yeah, I think he's a good coach. He might stick around. That's what people would be saying. Honestly, that's the way it was. He's done pretty good, but there's a limit to what he can do without a guy like Brady. Whereas we saw Brady can go grab a couple, go to a fairly talented team, get him to put on a couple extra dudes to make him happy and go win a Super Bowl, right? We've seen the difference between what Brady can do with a team quickly and what Belichick can do. Makes me realize that more Brady than Belichick in those Super Bowls, for sure. Opinion. I don't even know how we got on this subject, but in my opinion,
and I'll give you
more Brady than Belichick.
And I'll give you another one. The New England Patriots have 6 Super Bowl championships. You know what was the common denominator for all 6? 3 things. Do you know what those 3 things are? Let's see if
Brady.
Well, Brady's one of them.
Brady.
What's the other common denominator? What did they have in all 6 Super Bowl championships?
I would say top 5 defense.
No, people as a certain person. What did they have?
Oh, Josh McDaniels.
Exactly. Josh McDaniels has 6 championships with them. He left to Denver and they stopped winning Super Bowls in New England. He came back to New England and they won 3 more.
Yeah.
He has 6. And all 6, he was either the quarterback's coach or the offensive coordinator. Only for one of them was Charlie Weiss considered the offensive coordinator and actually called the plays. For the rest, Josh McDaniels called the plays. Okay? I think that matters, especially after you see what a clusterfuck their offense was last year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that their offense was a mess.
Well,
and
I
most
don't
of
know.
That was ego. That was Bill Belichick's ego, thinking that he could make anything work because he is so great. That's
I don't know
bottom
what made
line.
him think that Matt Patricia could call offense.
Because Bill Belichick thinks that he can put it together and make anything work because he thinks he was the secret sauce. That
look, Josh McDaniels. Look, I'll say this. Josh McDaniels may be a shitty head coach. Who knows? Maybe it works out for him in Las Vegas. But man, is he a good offensive coordinator?
He's one of the best. But even that offense,
look, because even without Brady, look at Josh McDaniels with Matt Castle that one year, and then look at him with Mac Jones when he was a rookie. Look, they built an offense around Mac Jones. They decided we're going to run the ball and we're going to do play action passes, and we're going to be really, really simple. And Mac Jones had a decent rookie year.
He had a good rookie year for a rookie. He did. Yeah. I mean, he did well. And
then all of a sudden, Josh McDaniels leaves. And Mac Jones looks terrible.
Yep. Matt Patricia was not the guy. I don't wonder, is Matt Patricia still even working for New England just as some kind of advisor or some secondary?
No, I think they
second kind of coach or something.
Yeah, I think they got rid of him. I think he's elsewhere now. I don't know where he is.
I'm curious. I am curious.
So the fact of the matter is, this season, once again, is going to be really exciting on all fronts. On defense, just the fact that we even got Vic Fangio. I remember there was a time, I'm old enough that I was not that old, so not a few months ago, where the Dolphins we were concerned as Dolphins fans that Vic Fangio would not actually show up in Miami. And then Adam Schefter comes out with a story that says, oh, he would have stayed in Philly if it hadn't been for the tampering stuff. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if it's a bunch of crap. It could very well be a bunch of crap for all I know. But McDaniel got his big whale. He got his defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. And
Patricia, by the way, is the senior defensive assistant in Philly this year.
Huh.
He went to the Eagles.
Oh, because they didn't get Fangio?
Yeah, but he's not even the defensive coordinator. He's a defensive assistant. So I assume that's what that means. Senior defensive assistant. So you know what? We'll see. They got Bill O'Brien now, right, in New England. So I mean, they have the toughest road, honestly, because they're just not as talented as the other teams in the AFC East. And I mean, Bill Belichick will get them to some more wins than they should get. Most other coaches would win more than 4 or 5 games. He'll probably win 7 or 8, something like that, more than he should. Beat some teams he shouldn't. That's what he'll always do. But I just don't know if he'll ever put it together. But honestly, that's all he's trying to do, guys. Like Bill Belichick, sure, would he love to win a Super Bowl and prove to the world he could win a Super Bowl without Brady, like Brady proved to him? Sure, but mostly he's after Shula's record, and he only needs to have like a few more average seasons to get there. That's why we just gotta hope they just suck it up and win like 1 or 2 games, but it's just not likely to happen with him as the head coach.
No, you don't want them to win 1 or 2 games because then they get Caleb Williams. Yeah.
That's true, but does Belichick stick around for that growth period and all that? You know what I mean? Then that's another year with a rookie quarterback. Does he even want that? Or would he rather win like 8 or 9 games the next few years and call it a career? I don't think he's interested in like a start over with a number 1 overall pick kind of. Like, he's not interested in doing that. I'm not saying, he wants to get his Shula's record and bounce. Like, the moment he has it, he's out. Like, then if he beat it, like, say, towards the end of one season, like, that's it.
It's in mid-season.
Yeah, mid-season, I'm out.
It's like,
Bill O'Brien's the head coach now.
There
I
you go.
appreciate it,
Bye.
guys.
See you later.
I just plus one him. So there you go. And I don't know who's around that could get closer. I mean, it would only be Reed or Tomlin, right? Those are the only true long tendered coaches in the league right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Is Pete Carroll still in Seattle?
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a long tenure coach.
Got a few messages in here, guys. Top 5 ceiling on defense, top 10 floor, in my opinion. I could see that. Yeah, that's where it should be anyway. With the talent they have and having Fangio, there's no excuse not to be a top 10 defense. I say 10 or 9 would be disappointing. Bo G says, didn't Brady get the head coach demoted in Tampa Bay because the head coach would show up unprepared and not knowing the offense with ignorant input? LMAO. I'm not completely sure.
Is that Todd Bowles?
No, Todd Bowles was last year's head coach. Who was the head coach that they won the Super Bowl with? But Brady just
Bruce Arians.
Him and Brady, they clashed some for whatever reason. I don't know why they won a Super Bowl together, but they clashed. We got this guy Duke here, Chris Early. When are they going to announce the Wilkins extension?
Money.
Probably not till after June 1st, at least, I'd say.
When is the next Olympics?
Yeah. Well, next year? Okay. And then we have this guy, Matthias.
It's happening, people. It's happening. I don't know why it's not happened yet, but it's happening. It's when
Caleb Williams isn't exactly a Belichick type either. So there you go.
But he could be a Robert Kraft, a Bob Kraft type. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying New England doesn't go that route. I'm just saying that is Belichick really not be interested in that. I almost wonder if Belichick probably thought about, I could probably, I'm so close. Let me just stick this out with New England. But if he had been maybe another 20 games out more than he was after Brady retired, I think he might have tried to bounce to a better team, something with a better nucleus to try and get. He's just trying to just beat. I mean, come on. It's obvious. He just won Shula's record. I get it. I mean, it's one hell of a record. I'd want it too if I was a head coach and was that close. And he'll eventually get it because he's going to stick around to do it. Because even if Kraft said, all right, we suck, Belichick, you're gone, then he's just going to go bounce and coach for a couple more years somewhere else. He's going to go find a team, best nucleus he can find, and go do it. He's doing it regardless, even if Kraft decided to move on from Belichick.
All right. Let's go ahead and call it here, folks. We had
Let's
a great
call
hour.
it. We BS'd about absolutely nothing in May for an entire hour plus.
I mean, look, May is still going, unfortunately. Hopefully, I mean, we could talk about Tyler Kroft next week if we want to.
Why?
Because it's the only thing they've done.
I wonder if
good blocking tight end.
I say we talk about the Heat.
Yay, another blocking tight end. Exactly what the Dolphins were missing.
Yeah. We got to be able to block to be a tight end. We can talk about the Heat next time.
That's not
the Heat are on that roll, man. Heat are going to Eastern Conference.
I'd rather make fun
finals,
of Mike Greenberg for complaining about the outdoor weather indoors again.
Did he actually do that? I don't watch.
He did, and there's video of it. Yes.
Oh, that's
he
dumb.
and Jalen Rose both are like, you know how it is when it's really hot out there, just saps your energy and makes it so that you're all weak and stuff. You're indoors. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it if he had stayed if he had stayed all day out. We've heard the expression, us living in Florida, right? Especially you guys in South Florida. I'm in Central Florida. The expression heat beat is a real thing, but that comes from doing stuff outside for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. And then by
these
the end
guys
of
are
the day,
flying in chartered flights, then
yeah, I
getting
know, right? Being
getting on a
bussed in.
bus at the airport. The bus is taking them to their first class hotel. The hotel is taking them, from the room that's air conditioned, by the way, to a bus that's also air conditioned, to an air conditioned arena.
Yeah, I don't understand how they could
hot.
be heat beat I could see they're going to
It's
feel the
hot.
humidity a little bit, and that is a little bit of an adjustment, just like when we over from being in Florida and all of a sudden we go to say Arizona or something, and that dry heat is an adjustment for sure.
But you're outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. But if I'm indoors the whole time, I'm not really paying attention. That's an odd comment. That's dumb. Oh well, I guess if you're gonna say that many things on TV every single day, you're gonna say dumb stuff sometimes too. That one was definitely dumb.
The funny thing is that I honestly think that Greenberg believes it. Like
I'm-
he's so mad.
He wouldn't
so
be the
angry.
first person to go on television and say the most ridiculous things and actually believe it. That's for sure. So it's fine. It's whatever.
He's
man.
so angry. He's so angry. All right, folks. Thank you all so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate. Yeah, we no. He's so upset that the Heat were supposed to suck, man. The Knicks were supposed to go to the championships. Like, no, get over it. Wrong.
Wait till the Jets go 8-9 or some shit like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, we talked about it. God, we can't get this show over, can we? We talked about it before. If they could, man, the NFL, they probably won't, because I think they want the Jets to succeed. They want Rodgers to succeed. They want that. No doubt. They want a New York team. Well, they had the Giants last year. They were okay, and they won a playoff game. So more
yeah,
than
but
okay,
they're not
right?
holding their breath.
But they want the Jets to be a good team. So they're probably not going to do this. But man, the Jets, like Miami, have some rough teams on their schedule. Some rough teams. If they scheduled it the right way, the Jets could easily start out like 1-3, 1-4, 0-3.
Not only that,
something like that. Easily it could happen.
All these Jet fans that are clamoring for all of these primetime games. You know what comes with primetime games? Really
Pressure.
Good opponents.
Yeah,
and you know what comes with those. And you know what those primetime games also come with? Really good opponents at their place at night with raucous crowds. And sometimes on a short week on a Thursday where you just get bamboozled. You just get blown out. So, yeah, I'm hoping that the Jets get a pile of those road night games, which are just death for everybody.
Hey, real quick, because we can't end this show. They had FS1 this past weekend, right? Or FS1, right?
Yeah.
I have that right. Over at Miami. Did y'all see those tickets? Those prices?
Oh my God. Yeah.
What the hell? I didn't know that. Somebody
Pricey,
told
man.
me that sport is a rich person sport. I was like, I had no clue. I tried to look up, me and my buddy were going to try and look up some tickets to go. And then I realized, holy crap, they only have one race. Why'd they build that whole thing for one race? Now I realize that built that whole thing really, it goes up and comes down in a couple days.
Formula One. I've been renting out Penske trucks for the past friggin' 2 months. People preparing for all that racing.
Dude, it's like the bottom ticket, like the suckiest ticket you can get. It's like $1,000. I was like, are you kidding me? I'll never go see a race then. I was actually kind of thinking, man, that would be fun to go see a race.
Go meet up with Duke and watch some NASCAR.
Yeah, nah, I can't get into NASCAR. I don't know why. I just wanted to see a Formula One race. I'm not for $1,000. I'll just ignore it when it's on television, like I have been.
$50 cheese sandwiches.
I see. I didn't even get into that. That's like, you know what? That's kind of.
They had a salad for $4 that was $450.
Oh my God, that's akin to like owning a Corvette. So if you scrape together your money, you're a single man, you made just enough to go get yourself a Corvette. Congratulations, you bought a Corvette. Now, good luck when you go to get brakes, engine work, tires. It's like you can't afford the car. Scraping up just enough to get into FS.
Yeah, just like it's
Formula One would be the same thing, but now I can't afford
the money grab,
beers and cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, the money grab is what makes it so unappealing, really. Like if you ever go to Gulfstream to watch the races, like you can have a good time over there and you don't have to go to any fancy schmancy thing. You know what I mean? You can go to the concession and grab a hot dog, grab a beer or whatever, or even get some actual food because there's some restaurants inside of Gulfstream. They get real food. But if you go to I've been at the Turf Club at Gulfstream, and I went to the old Turf Club that they used to have at Calder. And when you walk in, first of all, you notice that, there's a dress code, right? You take a separate elevator and everybody's wearing jackets and everything. You're like, okay, this feels expensive. And then when you order a beer and the bill comes back $18, and you're like, wait a minute. If I walk out this door and I go down 2 flights of stairs, I could buy the same beer for $4.50. Why is it $18 just because I'm in here? And the answer is always is because you're in here.
Because you're in here. Yeah.
And then
it's in the brochure.
Yeah, and then you go and you have a buffet, and you look at the buffet, and the buffet has absolutely everything. And then I remember this happened to me at Gulfstream. I was with my wife and my daughter, and we're in the Turf Club, and I'm thinking to myself, and they're hungry, and I'm like, well, just get something to eat. And I'm like, okay, I immediately regret saying that. And I remember
how much money did you spend? Did you throw 3 bills?
Well, I remember that the guy came over and he slid over a little thing which said had a little X, and it had like a line with a happy face to put the tip, which meant that, okay, they already just charged me. I opened the bill and it said buffet, $105 per person.
Oh God.
This ain't no Golden Corral.
So it's $315.
Shit, man, that's 4 times as much as Golden Nugget, much less Golden Corral buffet.
So it's $315. And I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, you guys better eat and start packing food, put stuff in your purses, take stuff home. I almost lost my appetite. I'm like, I'm getting robbed here.
That would hurt, man. That would give me a panic attack.
I remember I hit a race and the race was like 150. My wife was all excited. I'm like, yeah, I just paid for half of this fucking food bill here,
That's crazy, man.
So, it's bad when you hit a few races and you still haven't paid for the buffet.
Yeah.
And now imagine that happening in Kentucky for the Kentucky Derby. That's why I'll never go to the Kentucky Derby. Because, Kentucky Derby, it looks like a lot of fun. There's a lot of people there. First of all, you have to book it a year in advance, okay? Like, if you want to go to next year's Kentucky Derby, you got to book it this year. Right now. First of all, you have to stay in Louisville, which is not a great city, okay? Louisville, Kentucky. And you're going to have to stay in one of the worst hotels or motels you're going to find anywhere, and you're going to pay them 6 times what it's actually worth. So you're going to stay at like a Motel 6 and pay like $600 a night just for the Kentucky Derby. But that's why next year I'm going to go actually to one of the few places that for whatever reason, it's very hard to get into because you got to win a lottery, but it's actually kind of cheap to attend. I want to go to the Masters next year.
Yeah, because you got to win the lottery. Did you win the lottery for next year yet or no?
No, not yet.
Guy I work with
went in June.
Yeah, guy I work with went this past. He won the lottery. Him and his buddy.
And things are actually cheap there. Once you get the tickets, like the week pass is $450 per person, which is fine. It's you're talking about Tuesday through Sunday.
Sounds cheaper than a week of Disney World.
Yeah, it really is. Think about it, $450 per person, but you got access from Tuesday to Sunday to Augusta National.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
Yeah, that's not terrible. And
better than Formula One.
If you're a golf fan, you get to follow all the golfers and watch all the action and see the par 3 contest and watch them warm up, So that's kind of fun, And then you partake, of course, with, basically going to go over there to get drunk and watch golf, Like that's what you're going to do. But it's actually kind of cheap. None of these other things are cheap. And Formula One is absolutely not cheap. That's ridiculous.
Imagine as Miami, assuming they really start pouring it on sometime this year. Imagine what those tickets are going to be like. It's going to be expensive. Individual tickets for sure. The season ticket holders are going to enjoy making some money off of their.
Yeah. So Duke.
By the way, I'd be remiss if I wasn't going to thank. I like to thank all of you clowns from Manhattan and from all over the 5 boroughs that came down to Miami to buy tickets to watch your team lose both games here in Miami and pay some Heat fan $1,000 for each ticket when they only paid $150 face value. So thank you, New Yorkers.
I assume you're referring to the Knicks there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So, Duke, basically, lesson here is that if we're going to watch a home game and you're going to come down here, you got to do it early in the season or we're going to pay an arm and a leg.
yeah, I think you're going to pay an arm and a leg no matter what, but it'll
Okay,
probably
so
be worse.
both
later
arms and
on.
legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the indication is that
Wheel me into the stadium.
This year, the Dolphins are going to be a pretty hot ticket, man.
Oh,
Pretty
for sure.
hot ticket.
For sure. Especially at the beginning. And then if it keeps going towards the end, excuse me, it'll be crazy.
All right.
We wrapping it up, man?
Yes, we're wrapping it up. Make sure that if you haven't already done so, you go to You Brake Wheel Fix. They'll help you with your wheels. They'll help you with getting performance upgrades. They'll tint your windows. They'll give you suspension modifications.
They're really good.
They're
oh, God.
Go to You Brake Wheel Fix. Call them at 305-748-0112. Get your estimate in just minutes. Go to prizepicks.com if you haven't already done so. Taco Tuesday is always every single Tuesday. You can get yourself some discounted picks. Just choose the over or the under on whether those players are going to hit their stat line. And if you deposit $100 using our promo code, they will give you $100 of their dollars absolutely free right off the bat. So you don't even have to touch your deposit until you go through their $100, which if you know your fantasy sports, you may never actually get through. Who knows? So again, use the promo code 5. That's FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com. Get started winning today. That's going to be it, folks. Ron has a show to do, so you're going to have.
That's right. I'm hosting Finn's Nation for tomorrow morning. So
that's right. You got that. You guys have that to look forward to. You get to hear his charming dulcet tones rather than me whining all day. So thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you all next week for Pulse of Finn's Nation. Finn's Nation tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. We will see you all next time.
Finn's